What up, everybody? This your boy Black Megas back with another drunken rant. I was supposed to go to sleep after recording one before this. I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Sorry. Anyway, as you can see, I probably still should be going to bed. Anyway, supposed to be going to sleep before this, but I had to share with you a conversation that I had that sparked an interesting response. Of course, by yours truly, the sage of YouTube. Anyway, so we were discussing like the ease of people hooking up sexually, especially in the internet, and somebody like had posted one of those memes talking about, it started with just a text message or something like that, and then the pictures of a couple getting it on and all that. And we were joking around, clowning about that whole situation, and somebody had mentioned how he was like, I'm not even about that like I was back when I was young. It was like, that's the shit we used to try to do in high school, chase tail hard. And I've done a video talking about that before, how I don't chase tail anymore like that. And I think a lot of that is because I'm older, and when you get older, it's like, is sex important? Sure, but you're not willing to go through the lengths that you were when you were younger. And I was like, yo, I feel you, because at first I was joking. I was like, damn, if that's all it takes, geez, I need to start texting people more. But I was like, no, for real, I'm kind of glad that I'm not that type of person that is just constantly hounding women and harassing them, doing whatever I can do to get my dick wet. You know what I mean? Because and this chick who was in the conversation, she's like, yeah, that's a good thing. And I was like, it's kind of like how it was when you were a kid. Remember, and this may not pertain to some of you guys, but some of you might know what I'm talking about. Remember how when you were a kid and you used to be playing with a bunch of kids, and you meet new kids, and of course, being young, you want to run around, play, have fun. But your mom sometimes was very cautious, especially when she saw a particular kid that she thought had a, peculiar look or, unpleasant look. And, I've heard this from my grandmother, and I believe I heard it from my mom too. Be careful. They used to always warn me, like, yo, don't just play with just anybody. Be careful. You don't know. They don't look. I've been told, like, a kid that I've met didn't look too clean, I should say, to put it nicely. And that be careful, because you can catch something. And that's kind of a running statement about children anyway, because children do carry a lot of germs. I hope your children don't have a lot of diseases. If they do, god damn, what are you doing as a parent? Anyway, children do have a lot of germs, mostly because, again, we're young, you're just playing, you're not having fun, you're not paying attention to hygiene and things like that serious. It's like if somebody like seriously stinks, you'll notice that. It's something like that. If somebody looks seriously dirty, you'll notice that. But even if somebody looks slightly disheveled, you're not paying no mind. But your parents are, because they're not trying to have you come home sick, bringing home germs and stuff like that. So it's like, don't play with the dirty kids, quote unquote, is basically what you were told as a kid. And I was like, saying that, in comparison to the whole chase and tail thing, it's kind of like that. Your parents used to tell you, be careful trying to go around a bunch of kids that, look unhealthy or not clean and shit like that, because you can pick up something. And I was just sitting there like, it's funny though, because our parents tell us that, and of course as kids we're not listening, but it's something that probably would have been better served to tell us as adults, especially as guys, because we, sometimes get so keyed up on the idea of smashing some chick that we forget what our parents say about playing with those dirty kids, because you don't necessarily know, that girl's history, where she been. All you know is she looks good enough to fuck. And if a lot of us don't really take the time and thought to go beyond smashing, to realize that, you got to be extra careful. It's worse than it was in the playground. It's one thing to play with the kid who used to eat worms, or that kid who used to roll around in the dirt and just be filthy after recess and stuff like that. It's one thing to play with people like that, as a kid. It's a whole different element as an adult to be seeking sexual relations with someone who could possibly burn you literally for life. You could end up with a number of STDs and what have you, just going willy-nilly trying to fuck. And it started a conversation about that, because we were just like, yeah, it is crazy how something that you frowned on as a kid is something that you should really adhere to, because it's not that safe out there. There are a lot of quote-unquote dirty kids in the pool that you need to be aware of when it comes to dating and sex. You know what I mean? And it's just weird that we don't necessarily, heed those childhood warnings, because you could avoid a lot: pregnancies, baby mama drama, STDs, fatal STDs, things like that. Stuff like herpes. I actually knew someone who ended up contracting herpes because they got with they fell for the okie doke with the guy, and he left her that unfortunate quote unquote gift of something that she could never get rid of. It will always be there. She could transmit it to others. So her dating and sex life is, it's funny. I haven't talked to her in years. I hope she's doing okay, because that it's kind of a devastating thing. It really changes the scope of her prospects of dating, things like that. We don't really pay attention to that anymore. Because again, you're so enamored with the idea of fucking that you will hook up with a quote unquote dirty kid here and there because you're not careful. And it was just a funny, strange conversation I wanted to share, and I feel like it's definitely true. We need to be a little more selective. I think one of the things that I appreciate, even though I grumble about it sometimes, is that I am a selective person. I think out things. I don't just go with my first thought. Hell, if I was the person who just went with their first thought, probably would have had a lot more adventurous, entertaining life. Probably would have had a hell of a lot better stories for you guys, but also would have had a hell of a lot of drama and things like that possibly. So the risk that I could have took, I'm glad I didn't take, because those would have put me in a much more fucked up situation than I could have ever been, I think. But it's neither here nor there. Just watch out for those dirty kids, please, for the love of God. Watch out for the dirty kids. Anyway, you guys hit me up, let me know what you think, and as always, I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.